Okay. Linda, did you get it?
Yes, I printed it out.
Oh, good. Okay. So just in terms of where we are, so in the actually the 18th blessing, because they're 19 now, the 18th blessing is something called Hoida'ah or Modim, where we bow down and we thank God. It's a blessing of thanks. In the middle of it, there's a place where on Hanukkah and Purim, we insert a special prayer. Unfortunately, in this translation that we're working off, it doesn't have a translation. It just has the prayer. It's called Al Hanisim. And there's a special insert for the 8 days of Hanukkah, and there's a special insert for Purim. So what I want to do, because it's Purim on Friday here outside of Israel or walled cities, and I thought it'd be a nice thing to focus on. So here's the prayer. It's called Al Hanisim. Now a nace is a miracle. So we thank God. We say we thank you for the miracles. Nisim are miracles. Ve'al ha'purkan. Purkan is the Hebrew word actually lefarek is to undo something. So it's translated correctly as redemption, but it's really rooted in the idea that God took apart. You know, we're talking about Hanukkah and Purim. These were times of extreme exile, persecution, and danger. The first thing God did was, Purkan, you took apart the enemy. You know, if the enemy is strong and solidified and unified, it's very hard to beat them. So the redemption starts with the taking apart of the enemy, Va'al ha'gavuros, and then what's left, you have to overcome. Gibor, once again, at Gibor, we say in the second blessing, you are the mighty one. So the mighty deeds. Va'al ha'teshua. Teshua is a deliverance. We need to be delivered from their hold. Va'al ha'milchamot. And for the wars, the milchama is a war. For the wars, sha'asita, that you did, we accredit God, la'avotenu, for our fathers, for our predecessors, b'yamim hahem, yamim are days, yom, yamim, b'yamim hahem, in those days, bizman hazeh, at this time. And so this beginning bit is the same for Hanukkah and Purim. And there are many songs, tunes that go to it. It's said, you know, it's part of the culture of Hanukkah and Purim is you sing Al Hanisim, Al Hanisim, V'al HaPurkan, V'al HaGvuros, V'al HaTshuas, V'al HaMilchamot, She'asita L'Avoteinu, V'yamim B'hem B'zman Hazeh.
Amen.
And the more you drink on Purim, the more you can sing it repetitively. Okay. Then on Purim, there's a special edition over here. Now, why out of all the holidays are Purim and Hanukkah singled out? Is because in the prayer service there's a special blessing for Yom Tov. For Yom Tov, there's special prayers for Yom Tov. These are rabbinic holidays. These are not mentioned in the Torah. These were such significant events in Jewish history that the rabbis decided to create a holiday around them. So these are the two rabbinic holidays, and therefore they get their own special mention and blessing. Also, the whenever the rabbis made a decree, a holiday enactment, they tried very hard to make sure that people would not confuse them with the Torah obligations. So they're not put together. That's why we don't. It could have easily been part of the Yom Tov prayer that we say, but they decided no, we don't want people. It should be clear that it's always rabbinic. Okay, now just before we get into what Purim is about, let's look at the general the opening stanza over here for both Hanukkah and Purim. There's a lot here, for the miracles, for the redemption, the mighty deeds, the deliverances, and the wars that you did for our fathers in those days at this season. I think that what we see here in this prayer is diminishing or what should I say, not diminishing, but how obvious God's hand is in history diminishes in these things. So the nisim, miracles, are when everyone sees God's hand, right? Normally, there's no physical way to explain what happened. And we say it's a miracle. Miracle means we don't have explanation within our realm. Our realm, therefore, came from God, right? Or people that don't believe say it's a freak of nature, meaning that something unexplained. So when there are nisim, when there are miracles, so then we see God's hand very clearly. Milchamot, a milchama is a war. A war is when we take up arms, we go to fight. It's hard to see, that we're so involved and we're so in control that it's hard to see God's hand. I imagine that the purkan over here, these undoing the enemy's unity, overcoming them powerfully, saving us from their hand, are all in order over here. The many people actually account or point to the 6-day war, as the start of the modern Teshuvah movement. Many people saw that war with quite miraculous that we were able to win that war. Am I getting my facts wrong? It's either I don't know why I say there's a voice in the back of my head saying the Yom Kippur War. That wasn't such an easy war. Maybe not
the Sinai War.
Yeah, not the Sinai. Either the 6-day war, the Yom Kippur War, as people saw it as very miraculous. I think when did we take back the old city?
The 6-day war.
That 6-day war, yeah. So when we recaptured the old city, people saw a lot of, especially the soldiers, they saw their victory in very miraculous terms. They felt they had seen the hand of God. And that did spark many people to reconsider, to think about God more, to come back to Judaism, etc. So that's what we're saying over here, these different levels. And then at the end, it's a very interesting phrases. Means in those days, it was back then, at this time. This time means that this is the anniversary of the time in the year. There is definitely a whole school of thought. There's a whole emphasis that some people put on the time, meaning that the time of the year, the Shana, this repetition of time, has with it certain energies. You know, the energy of the spring is very apparent, and the energy of the seasons. So too, there's an energy of Purim at this time. We can tap into that. If you're spiritually inclined, you can tap into now the energy of the time. Hang on 1 second. If the oven is on broil, should it have a light? I don't know, but it's fine either way. Okay. Good luck, Shlomo. Shlomo's making lunch. Okay. So we can tap into, this is a time for redemption. It's a time many people pray very sincerely because we were answered in our prayers bizman hazeh, at this time. Okay, let's go now to the Hebrew. Let me see if I can get this down a little. Okay. On Purim, B'yamei Mordechai ve'Esther, in the days of Mordechai and Esther, B'Shushan Habira, in Shushan, which was the capital of Persia, Kisha Amad Aleihem Haman Harasha, when the evil Haman Harasha, Rasha means evil, Haman, when he got up, when he rose up against Aleihem, he rose up against them, when the evil Haman rose up against them, Bikesh, he sought lahashmid, to destroy, laharog, hariga is to kill, la'abed, and to annihilate or cause to be lost the Jewish. Eskol haYehudim, all of the Jews. Eskol haYehudim, tonight all of the Jews. Menar va'ad zakein, from the young, Anar is a young boy, va'ad zakein, until the elders, tough or infants, v'nashim, and the women. So, enemies could leave some members of the population in order to assimilate them into their own population. Often they just kill the men and take the women and children. But that wasn't Haman. Haman wanted to destroy the entire Jewish people. B'yom echad, so he came up with his plan. It would be on one day, b'shloisha asa, on the shloisha asa means the 13th. On one day, on the 13th, l'chodesh shnayim asa, to the month, which is the 12th month. So the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, hu chodesh Adar, which is the month of Adar, U'shalalam lavoz, and their wealth, their booty, to plunder their booty. So that was his grand plan. Va'ata, and you, barachamecha harabim, now we speak to God, you God, barachamecha harabim, in your great mercy, hafarta es eitzato, you untied, what did you do? You frustrated, you annulled his counsel. Eitza is, we've seen that before, his counsel will kill Kalta, and you frustrated machshavto, his thinking. And so you to plunder their wealth, and you and your Bana Mercy annulled his counsel, frustrated his thinking, his intention. And you, Lashav is to return to you brought his for him, you returned to him his plan barosho, on his head, right? You turned it back on him, and you brought his evil plan back upon his own head. Vatalu oto ve'et banav al ha'etz, and you hung him and his children on al ha'etz, on the gallows. Okay, and then some say that's really in the Nusach Svad. The Chassidim say these words, which mean, and you made a miracle and a wonder for them, and we are thankful to your great name forever. Okay, what are the different parts of this section? So it's interesting that the right, Mordechai and Esther get mentioned. That's obviously to their merit, because they were the human agents in this miracle. Shushan Abira, this was a capital city. That's where it mainly played out. And then the focus over here is it was one man's plan, right? Haman Arasha. It was one man, this Haman, the evil Haman, when he rose up against them. And he came up with a final solution. It's really unbelievable how many similarities there are to what Hitler did. So, in order to, this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to destroy. Now, what are these three things? Lahashmid, laharog, la'abeid. Or in the English, he wanted to destroy, kill, and annihilate. So the Hebrew word lahashmid, it's interesting. We just did the bracha v'lemalshinim for the traitors. We said at the time we said that really the original prayer was la mashmadim, to the mushumadim, the people, the heretics, or the people who have given up on Judaism and accepted a new religion. So lahashmid really means to destroy people's identity, right? It's often known as the spiritual war, is shmad. So what did he want to do? He wanted us to give up on our identity, but not only that, laharog. He didn't even want our physicality. To kill is to get rid of the body. So he didn't even want any of our bodies around. Never mind what we stand for and our thoughts. He wanted to kill our bodies. Abeid, and aveda means something lost, something that no one knows where it is anymore. He wanted to rid us from history. So Lashmid refers to the soul, Laharog to the body, La'abeid to our history. And he wanted to completely...
Hi, baby.
Hi, Mama. How are you?
He completely that was the total destruction of the Jewish people, to rid this entire world, to rid the world from all Jews. And it was Kol HaYehudim. It was, you're a Jew, you have no place here in the world. It didn't matter how young you were, a nar, a taf, the youngsters, the children, zakein, you might have been an old person in a, sitting there in a senior home, and he'd yank you out and kill you. Vanashim, woman, he wasn't interested in us converting or taking the women for himself, and making them Persians. And his scheme was, because the Jewish people lived throughout the kingdom of Persia, and they were very spread out. What his scheme was that this wasn't a conventional war. He wasn't going to get the army to fight them. He was going to get regular civilians. He called on his people. He called on all the people of his kingdom and said, listen, we have this vermin amongst us. We need to rid ourselves of these Jewish people. How are we going to do that? So he came up with one day. That's why it's called Purim, because he rolled the dice. He did a lottery, and he came up with this day. It should be by chance. It should be by chance. He came up with the 13th day of the last month of the year, the 12th month, which is Adar, very specific. And he encouraged, now, V'shalalam lavoz means to plunder their wealth. One of the ways that he incentivized civilians was, you'll take what, the Jewish people were wealthy. So you'll take their wealth. Go. There's full right to go and kill the Jews, and your reward will be whatever you find, you can take. So that was his plan, his final solution. Now we turn to God to thank him. And you, God, barachamecha rabim, with much mercy, meaning, again, did we deserve it? Did our actions, did we have enough merit that this should happen? Perhaps not, right? Perhaps not. There was a tremendous teshuvah in those days. Right? Esther says to Mordechai, go and gather everyone together and fast for 3 days. And they did. There was a national day of fasting. Right? Tomorrow is the fast of Esther, and Tainus Esther. They did do teshuvah, whatever. But always, we even if they had merits, we never rely on them, and we thank God for His mercy. God, even if we didn't have enough merits, you in your mercy, Hefata et atzata. An Eitzah is a plan, right? That was His plan. Let's get the civilians involved. We can do it all in one day. The people are spread out. It's very easy. So an Eitzah is the plan. So God, you undid His plan, and of course we know the story that happened through Esther, who was able to convince the king to send out a decree, a second decree, telling the Jews they could defend themselves and putting His support behind them. V'kilkalta et machshavto, and in the end, a kilkul is to destroy. You frustrated His intention. A machshava is the goal, right? God, you frustrated His goal. So, as we say in Lecha Dodi on a Friday night, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. The end deed is the first thought. The machshava means, what do you want? What's your goal? What are you trying to achieve? And then you need to form an eitzah. You need to form a plan around it. So, God, you undid the plan, and you frustrated His thought, or you brought his plan, his goal to an end. A kilkul is to annihilate. It's the opposite of to fix, to break. You broke His thought. It could no longer. His plan could not succeed. And not only that, you returned to Him on His head what He had planned, because He had built the gallows, to hang Mordechai, and yet he and his children, him and his 10 sons, were hung ala eitz. You hung them on the gallows, and that was the final the end, as it were, of the war, that they got hung. And the rest of the story is an amazing story of how the Jews were then allowed back to Israel, allowed to rebuild the temple, how the Persian king not only gave permission, but supported building the temple, and this ushered in the whole Second Temple era. So, two things, in terms of Jewish history, we obviously the Holocaust still looms over Jewish history. It wasn't the only time. It wasn't the only time we had such a threat. This threat was very real during the times of Haman. Unfortunately, the Holocaust, we lost so many people, but what happened during the times of Mordechai and Esther was unbelievable. Right? We didn't lose anyone. In fact, everything turned around. Mordechai took over from Haman as the second in command, the vice president of Persia. So to be thankful that at this time we really had this incredible deliverance. Something I think we see from the prayers, the prayer itself, which it's quite specific. It's quite specific. We mention the people, Mordechai and Esther. We mention where it was. We mention all the different things that Haman wanted to do to us, the different stages, who he wanted to kill, the date, the tactics that he used. When giving thanks, and I think it's true of giving praise as well, it's always better, it's always more meaningful when we can do it specifically. And the more specifically or uniquely that we can do it, the more kavod, the more honor that there is. Everyone, just like...
Not only specifically, but personally, something you can only say to that person.
Beautiful, yes, which would be the ultimate in specific, right? Yes, to make it personal, to make it much more, that makes it meaningful. So that's how we should be to people, and that's how we should be to God. We see that in this prayer. So when we say our own prayers, we should have that in mind. And with that in mind, I wish you all a very nice Purim.
Can I just ask one quick question?
Yes.
So where do you insert this in the Shemonei Esrei, or you just do it separately?
No, it's inserted in the Shemonei Esrei in the Modim prayer. So
right, where exactly is it inserted?
What Siddur are you holding?
I printed out what you sent us, so I'm on page 15.
On page 15. So this is what page is this? I think this is page 19.
Okay.
Do you have page 19? 15? No, 16. Page 16. Sorry.
No problem. Oh, I see it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, got it. Thank you.
That's where it is. Unfortunately, they didn't translate it.
Got it.
And at the top, if you look over here, this bit is for Hanukkah. It's actually much longer. And then so you say the beginning sentence, you jump over the Hanukkah bit, and then you say the Purim bit.
Got it.
Okay, questions, comments, alternate.
Yeah, as we know, there's an opinion that says that Hitler was a reincarnation of Haman, and the 12 brothers, where there were 12 sons, were the 12 that were the ones that were in the Nuremberg, the essence of the Nazi party. And when one of them was hung, he said, I suppose the Jews will have a Purim fest. So they knew the connection.
Yeah. Do you know
Amazing.
that story, Linda?
No, I never heard
Oh.
any of that.
No,
I'll
no,
send it to you. It's quite remarkable.
Wow.
God,
Yeah. Do you know it, Barry?
no.
Oh,
No.
Wow.
okay. It's written
all-
up. I will. I'll
Send it to
send
me.
it
Will
to
you
you.
send it to me? Thank
Yes,
you.
I'll send it to everyone.
You people have got shul in America, eh? You have shul. Your shuls are open.
Somewhat.
But not like we only have 50 people allowed, and then only no people. I'm not allowed at all.
Really?
My elderly, no elderly, and then so they'll have the Megillah on. We'll get it on Zoom. We'll get